Kamala Harris has agreed to her very first sit-down television interview, but only if this guy is right next to her. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Vice President Kamala Harris agreeing to her very first sit-down television interview on CNN under one condition. She has to be with Tim Walz. And for reference, let's go back to the picture I showed you earlier. Okay, that's Kamala, obviously, Vice President, Democratic presidential nominee, and her VP pick, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. Now, you can see his face. That's not just an unfortunate freeze frame. That's pretty much how he is. And her face, same way. Two goofballs, goof troop, frick frack, dumb and dumber, thing one, thing two. That's them. Okay? Kamala is so bad that she has to have basically an interpreter, a lawyer, someone right next to her during the interview. Now, before we go any further, I just wanted to come back so you can see me clearly. This is terrible. This is really, really bad. You can't do an interview on your own and you want to be the president of the USA. Now, I understand if you're just a regular normie, you're not really built for television. I understand normies not wanting to go on TV. But you running for president, you need to get on TV. What are you going to do when there's some type of attack or some kind of threat and you got to talk to the public? What are you going to do during State of the Union addresses? What are you going to do when things get tough? Now, I know for those things, you might have pre-prepared statements. She's done that as far as the rallies when she can read from a teleprompter. But what about when things are happening dynamically and you're at a press conference? Madam President, this is happening and that's happening, and you got to react immediately live on the spot. What are you going to do? You can't just say, all right, Tim, come up here and talk next to me. No, you want to be the leader. You got to be the one out front. You can't get your VP to come in and help you. Okay, this is really, really bad. And if this is the best they could do to respond to the pressure of Kamala not doing any interviews, because let's be clear, this is her very first sit-down interview on television. If this is the best they can do, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. Maybe that's why Zuckerberg is saying, hey, man, it's not my fault. Blame them, because he can kind of see the writing on the wall that these people are on their way out of office. Now, before I continue, let's get to my main man, Kevin O'Leary. You may know him from Shark Tank. He's talking about how Kamala needs to go out there and do these interviews. This is before the news broke. This is happening just right now, right around 5 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, August 27th, but let's see what he's talking about. Then we're going to get into an article where we learn a little bit more information. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
There is no scenario where the president of the United States can't head up a press conference. Under any scenario, every president has been able to address the press, and in the good times and the bad times. She has to start talking to the press, period. There's no optionality. There's no scenario where anybody would be comfortable, particularly in the swing states where swing voters are thinking to myself, what do we got here? Why won't she talk to the press? I'm asking it from a policy guy. I need explanations for these policies because I have to invest on these policies. I have questions and I don't get any answers. I'm not being unreasonable. Come out wherever you are and talk to the press.
Now, this has been shouted loudly behind the scenes, especially behind the scenes. Those of us that are on the internet, alternative media, and some on Fox, like Kevin O'Leary is right here, they're saying it as well. We're saying it as well. And they responded with this. Now, to answer his question, why won't she do interviews? In my humble opinion, she can't really do interviews well. They're going to ask her a question, and she's going to respond with word salad at best. What she say? The passage of time and these stories that are plagiarized from MLK, talking about some, I fell on the ground when I was a baby and I said freedom. Stuff like that is just ridiculous. And the people who matter, these swing voters he was talking about, they're going to know it's ridiculous and it's going to sink her. So they had to put a babysitter, a lawyer out there with her. Now, here's an article straight from the source. Harris and Walz to sit with CNN for exclusive first joint interview since campaign began. Now, this is misleading language a little bit. When it says first joint interview, you may think they're referring to the first interview they've done together. Well, that's true, but this is also Kamala's first interview, period. Not just her first joint interview with Tim Walz, but the first interview, period. She has not done anything with the press. I don't even think it's been a press conference where she's answered questions, let alone a real sit-down interview. The last time there was some kind of interview or something like that, she was talking to Tim Walz. So Tim Walz, you got to bring in the white man and know what he's talking about to help the black woman. Is that what's going on? I'm not saying that, but they may say that if they're consistent in their grievances. But I'm not going to read that article just on GP because I don't like CNN. CNN sucks. Let's go to The Hill. They're a little bit better. It could be the same parent company and everything. I don't care. As long as I'm not on CNN.com, I'm good money. But I'll link to that article if you want to read it in the box. Just to be totally fair, but you see the headline right here. Harris Walz to give first joint interview. Same thing, same kind of headline. See, these organizations. But anyway, so Vice President Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will participate in their first joint interview, which is the first interview for Kamala with CNN on Thursday. So that'd be this Thursday. What's that going to be? The 29th, I believe. Yeah, the 29th. I'll probably stream that if CNN doesn't try to gatekeep and give me a flag for exposing her. CNN's In the Bash will conduct the interview, which is set to air at 9 p.m. Harris has faced mounting pressure to sit for an interview since she rode to the top of the Democratic ticket. She has answered only brief questions from reporters traveling with her in the month since. Yeah. They might get her on a tarmac or something like this. Okay, she's going to the plane, and before she hops on the plane, they're shouting questions, and she may answer it. And even some of those answers have been word salad at best. I'm talking about straight up iceberg lettuce that's old with no nutritional value at all. Okay, you got a salad right in front of you. It's an entire bowl. You might have got 5 calories. That's how impactful her words were. Not at all. Word salad. Things that may sound good when you are writing tweets or something, inspirational quotes on Facebook, but when you're talking about actual things that need to be said, actual questions that need to be answered, there's nothing there. And they know that about her. That's why they're going to bring Tim Walz out there with her. This is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. When Trump was president, you didn't see him out there doing press conferences with Pence or somebody else answering questions for him, hiding behind him, being small. No, he was a man. He would go out there and answer questions.
That you may have.
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation? Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
Now, under the current administration, Joe Biden can't even really get 2 words out. He's going to be shuffling like Mr. Burns with the scrunched up hands and everything. Hunched over, scrunched up hands, 1,000 years old. Now, Kamala is just a moron and can't really string 2 words together because she's not very competent and she can't go out there by herself. So they got to put this white man in there who is a communist to push for his own agenda. Anyway, let me keep on going here. Harris said earlier this month she would schedule an interview before the end of August. After the Democratic National Convention, Harris and Walz officially accepted the nomination at their party's convention last week. A source at the network told The Hill on Tuesday the high-profile interview was slated to be taped. Taped? Wow. Really? You can't even have the decency to do a live stream? Listen, you're so bad. You're so bad. You can't do a solo interview at all with a friendly network to you like CNN. We ain't talking about Fox News. We ain't talking about coming on ABO Live. You're going to go on the friends of the network, CNN. Do you guys know that Karine Jean-Pierre was married to Suzanne Malveaux over at CNN? Listen, you are in a friendly place. This is a safe space. You can't even go on there and do a live interview by yourself. You got to bring on Tim Walz, and you can't do that live. You still got to do it pre-recorded so you can edit out unfavorable moments. That's crazy, but I digress. So, and let me see, it's going to be in Georgia, of course, in Georgia again. Yeah, remind me to not go to Atlanta on Thursday at all. Anyway, well, I'll probably be here with you guys if I'm able to stream it. It says it will air on CNN's linear cable channel and will be available until live stream for paid TV subscribers. Through CNN.com, CNN connected TV, mobile apps, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, they're talking about how important it is or whatever, but that's crazy. So you saw that. Let me just make sure I got the right time here. So 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday is going to be the interview, a joint interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. This is their first quote unquote joint interview, but it's also Kamala's first interview, period. She has not done anything aside from answer a few questions here and there when she's outside on the way to the tarmac from screaming reporters. The last time she had any kind of interview type situation was a podcast style conversation with Tim Walz and nobody else. And the whole thing's going to be taped. So if she starts cackling or talking about The Shape of Water or Passage of Time, they're going to edit it out and you won't know anything about it. But as I close, I want to say this. This is pretty pathetic. Democratic Party. Democrats, how do you feel? Those out there who vote Democrat, how you feel about this? You can't even get a live interview with the both of them. It's still got to be taped. I mean, they are trying to hide this lady just as bad as they were hiding Biden during C-19 up under his basement. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this strategy to have Kamala finally conduct an interview? She got to have the hall monitor, the babysitter, the handler, the lawyer right next to her. So when there's a tough question that's beyond hickory dickory dock, one fish, two fish, green fish, blue fish. Once it's beyond that, okay, let's bring him in and let him talk. Like an interpreter. Okay, if it's anything beyond hello, how are you? She's not going to understand it and not know how to respond. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is crazy. I have never seen anything quite like this, but it's 2024. You have to expect the unexpected. The things that are happening right now are just out of control. It's really crazy. And I hope we can get this thing back in order sometime very soon. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
The governor and we were all doing a tour of the library here and talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.